Welcome to another episode of the Supermarketers Podcast. I'm your host, Ken Furukawa, and today we have a special guest, Corey Haines of prolific internet fame, marketing skills, Magister, TrueList, Conversion Factory, so many things. Corey, it's a pleasure to have you. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm stoked.
Yeah, and it is an honor to have you spend your time here because you are getting a lot of traction with marketing skills. So you've created this repository, public repository. It is certainly a generous act to make this open source, where skills are, some say, probably one of the most powerful ways that somebody could use Claude. So if we could just start there, kind of give an overview of marketing skills and even just what a skill is.
Yeah, I feel like there's still a lot of people that don't really understand what a skill is. And so a lot of things just kind of like go over their head. So yeah, happy to explain. Basically, like the backstory is, Anthropic has been leading the charge in creating a couple of these AI protocols, if you will. Things like MCPs, skills is another one. There's been a few, that they've kind of pioneered over time. And they're really the result of people figuring out how to get better outputs from AI, right? So like back in the day, when I was accept all, clicking like button mashing cursor, vibe coding all day long, I realized, if I would have like this whole bucket of snippets that I would save for prompts. And every time I would tell it, you are a conversion rate optimization expert, da 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 da. And then I would tell it what I wanted to do. You would get a better output, right? And so skills are basically the kind of, I think, the final result of prompting, where it's kind of like a hard-coded prompt, if you want to think about it that way. Instead of having to tell the LLM these things, what to do, what not to do, how to act, what the context is, every time you give it an input, a skill gets invoked contextually based on what you're asking it to do. And then it can go through, it can read the file. Most skills are just markdown files. There are additional files like some scripts, some integrations, some other kind of connectors or little processes that it can run through. But for the most part, a skill is just a markdown file that is a long prompt, about 500 lines of code long. And that is what people have found gets the best output. So I don't make the rules. I'm just kind of following suit on hey, if you want to do marketing with Claude Code, you're going to get a lot better results by having some really specific skills based on what you're doing. So today there's about 34 skills in the marketing skills repo. Each one is mostly from my experience myself. Like I have my agency, Conversion Factory. So there's a ton of SOPs and templates that I turned into skills. I have my swipe files and newsletter and courses and ebooks, and I turn a lot of those into skills. And then there's just things that I found, by working on my own projects with clients. Okay, I'm doing the same thing over and over and over again. What is the process here? What is the SOP? I can basically turn this SOP into an autonomously executed SOP by skillifying it and then giving that to Claude Code.
Amazing. Yeah. I thought maybe to make it more actionable, I can share my screen, walk through some of the skills. I'd love to ask you a few questions about it, and then maybe put them to use here.
Yeah, sounds fun.
Okay. All right. Let's see how this goes. So for context, okay. This is at Core Hinge 31/marketing skills. These are all the skills here, right? This is it. And to get them, you could click in, and for example, if we are an e-commerce shop, then we would do that, and then wait, what was it?
This could be that bottom skill MD.
Skill MD.
Yep.
Oh, I was looking for the green download zip, but
I think that's only at like the top level for the folder.
Oh, okay. So then we would download the raw file, and then we're uploading it into our Claude Cowork, Claude Code, or even a Claude project, Claude.ai project. Is that right?
Yeah.
That's how you can use these skills.
Personally, I find that I think they're all going to converge at some point. Claude Cowork, and Claude Code. I think that Anthropic has a bit of a product marketing problem right now that they're trying to figure out all the like nomenclature um, and how to make all these things play nice together. Really, Claude Code, because it's powered by your terminal, is going to give you like unlimited options and power. Claude and Claude Cowork are always going to be limited to a certain degree because they are browser based or they're desktop app based. They're not going to have full control over all the things that you want to. And in fact, even for things like the installation, the installing it into Claude Code for installing marketing skills into Claude Code via the terminal is just a single command line script, whereas like going into Claude Cowork, it takes a lot of like finagling and downloading and uploading and all that kind of stuff. So it's really easy. I think it's just npx add skill, and then my username, Corey Haines 31 / marketing skills.
Got it. Okay. Or, I use Visual Studio Code, so I literally just use natural language like upload. So maybe we can just take a look and I uploaded a few skills before. So yeah, here is a full map of the 34 or so skills that you already have listed out in table format here. And so the example, I have this like kind of side project test website. It's a programmatic SEO play, a directory of AI tools. So vibemarketers.ai. I thought I would, there are so many tools. What is like, how do you actually use these? What are the tools most relevant? And so these are AI tools for marketers, as well as there are playbooks for how to actually do it. So I've used OpenClaw to kind of go through and create these, and then blog posts. In your analysis, like to start with how you're even assessing where a skill would fit in, can you walk through that process? And let's say for now that like it's a challenge of getting content out and optimize for answer engines. I think you have a skill for that.
But sure.
Yeah. And then, by the way, the CMS here is Webflow.
Okay.
And then
Nice.
This is the repository. So I've taken, it's a folder on my computer, a local file. I've also uploaded it to GitHub, but this is what it is here. And having added your skills, I have a skills folder in my Claude folder here. These are the ones these are yours, I believe, right?
Yep, they look like it.
Probably hard to tell just based on a relatively generic or general name. But I believe that this is yours.
Yeah, those are all the ones.
Okay, amazing. Yeah, so can we just kind of walk through this AI SEO skill at a high level, like what that looks like? Actually, looking here might be a little bit easier, right?
Yeah,
and then
and you know what? There's also one other thing that might help us, which is if you go back to the diagram of how the skills relate to each other from the README, you'll see that all the skills are meant to draw from one of the skills at the top, product marketing context. So again, what I've found is that for quite a few of these skills, even something like AI SEO, right? You're asking it to do something, and then what does it do? It asks you questions about yourself, about your business, about the context, about your goals, all the things that it needs to know to be able to put itself in your shoes to understand the output that you're probably looking for, right? So product marketing context tries to capture all that information once and for all about your ICP, your product, your differentiators, your business model, your goals, your brand voice, anything that you would want it to be able to reuse and reference another time. And at the start of every skill, it's told to go and reference the product marketing context skill in order to download all the context that it needs to do the best job that it can. So it might also be worth, if we're going to do something live, downloading that skill too. And in fact, we could just download all of them if you wanted to, but the product marketing context skill in particular helps to kind of walk through, and you can even just feed it a URL. You can tell it, hey, my site is vibemarketers.ai. What I want you to do is to build a product marketing context file based off of this website and, use your best judgment or something like that.
Okay. Um, okay. So I did download the file. Now, do you recommend just dropping in the file on my computer, or
No, I would
I should
recommend
just,
installing it, because what Claude is going to do is it's going to install it within a .agents um, hidden file, essentially. And so, yeah, really what you'd want to do here in Claude Code is you can just tell it, download all of the marketing skills from Corey Haines.
oh,
And then you don't even have to see them necessarily in your VS Code directory. It's just going to live locally in your computer from a more like global level.
got it. Okay, great. So then
Otherwise, these skills will only live on the Vibe Marketers project. And if you wanted to use them across other projects, you'd have to re-download or re-update, so on and so forth every time.
right. So if I'm doing it for, let's say, like another brand, then it is globally applying. I could call this product marketing agent and all the files under that, and it would still work. But how am I creating different contexts? Is that just yeah? How would I be creating the different contexts for Vibe marketers and another brand?
Yeah, so it's going to be customizing it and filling in the blanks for each of your projects. So the skills get downloaded from a global level, but then they get applied at a local level.
Okay. Okay. Uh, it should be relatively quick, right?
Yeah, it should be.
Do you dangerously bypass?
I
Or
do
should I?
always
Yeah,
by
yeah, yeah.
default.
Always YOLO. Too much time to approve everything. Great. Okay, so there are 8 skills, and it's adding the differential, I guess, the 33 more. Um, Now, all these skills will go. So I had these here. Uh, do you recommend? I mean, first of all, in terms of security, I know you and trust you. I'm going to download the skills. I generally don't, just because of potential prompt injection, and you don't really
Yeah.
know what you're getting. I guess you could do research on review sites. But if for any skills, and I haven't really built a ton, it might just be me going to Claude and creating a skill. Um, is that kind of like, do you install your own skills, or do you see one and then just build it out yourself?
Yeah, I always go through the skills.sh directory. The Vercel team built it, and they've partnered with a couple of cybersecurity firms who audit every single skill every single skill in existence ever, because it's a
Oh, yeah,
protocol,
okay.
right? And so they can scan everything. In fact, while that's going, it's kind of interesting. If you just go to skills.sh in your
Yeah.
browser, I think this would be helpful for people to see. So it's a directory of every skill. There's about 90,000.
Oh, okay.
Yep, and you can search me. You can pull up any one of those skills. Just click on one, and then on the right hand side, you'll see security audits. And so there's like multiple checks by multiple companies that go through and see if there's any prompt injection.
Fascinating. I didn't know that. Didn't know this was a thing. Yeah, and I don't know if you've encountered this, but it's very easy to fork a repo, and maybe it's like Corey Haines 33, right? And so it is good to always check exactly
Right.
what you're downloading.
Yeah, impersonators and
Yeah. Uh, okay, so I believe it was installed, right? And so it should be in my skills. Maybe I need to refresh. Oh, there. Okay. So yeah, 33 total skills here. Um, Now, skills can be invoked. Now that I have these skills added, I can just literally hit / say AI-SEO, and then I can give it a URL, and then it would go through the process of optimizing for search. Is it as simple as that?
yeah, based on what it has access to. So it depends on what lives inside of this code base and what lives outside of this code base and what Claude Code has access to. Essentially, anything that Claude Code has access to, or it can go in more from like an admin level. then it's going to be able to run these kinds of audits. So it can look at things from like an outside perspective. If it was just doing like a regular web search or a scrape, for example. But it can also just look at the content of a page. So we could tell it, for example, my site is vibemarketers.ai. Please use the product marketing context skill so that we can use other skills in the future, and then see what it does with the AI SEO. Again, I don't know your setup at all, so it's hard for me to say
Oh yeah. I'm
exactly
sorry.
what it'll do.
There was minimal context given. Set up in terms of like the backend, like the CMS, or what the site is.
Yeah, how all the tools connect and where the data comes from.
Oh, got it. Okay. Yeah, the data comes from basically like an AI search. I think I might use Firecrawl in the future to kind of like get more substantive data. This is an Opus 4.6 generated blog post, but the tool breakdowns, for example, here. Don't love this site, by the way. Yeah, so these are not great, right? I would probably want to do more research, maybe go to G2 or others, pull like actual user feedback, beef this up a little bit. So in that case, if the thought were like improve existing content, that I think you had like a content.
Yeah, I do have a content strategy skill.
Okay. Yeah, maybe. So do you think that that would be a good first step to just like make this better? The broad blanket
Let's
request.
run the product marketing context one first, and
Okay.
then we'll do the other one. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm saying my site is Vibe Marketers, use product marketing skill to use other skills. That's enough context.
Maybe just to like use product marketing skill to get all the context you need about what we're going to work on so that I can use other skills in the future.
Uh, I have maybe I should just use whisper flow, typing loud and
Yep.
slow.
Now you're a fast typer. Yeah, because all the other skills like AI SEO, for example, are going to reference product marketing context. And so that'll save us a couple of back and forths every single time you use one of the skills, whether you're using, content strategy, AI SEO, the SEO audit one, literally any and all of them. It's going to go through and read those.
So how in the prompt did you set up? I was looking for like a Claude.md file in product marketing. I don't see it. But how do you set the product marketing context kind of like as the head of the agent swarm?
Yeah, if you go back to the marketing skills repo in GitHub, and if we just take a look at the actual skill, so that top section there is called front matter with the name, description, and metadata. And this determines like what it knows about itself and how it gets triggered, right? So, and this is all following the protocol of how Anthropic designed things. So it says when the user wants to X, Y, and Z. If the words X, Y, and Z are used, then use this skill. Use this at the start of any new project before other marketing skills. And then the workflow, step one, you can see it says first, check if agents/product marketing context already exists. Also check for older setups. If it exists, read it and summarize what captured. Ask which sections it wants to update. If it doesn't, da 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 da. So that's for product marketing context. And now if we were to go to the AI SEO one, you'll see at the top of that one, it says before starting, check for product marketing context. If it exists, da 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 da. So it's going and looking up the product marketing context skill every single time this one gets invoked so that it has the right context. And eventually some of this stuff gets saved to memory. And so it doesn't have to like do a really big, context download or ask you a bunch of questions every time or take forever to go and do a search. but it is told every time to reference it just to double check that what it's doing is in alignment with all the things that you have set for it to know.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for clarifying that. And because, I mean, what I love about the open source is this is like the foundation, the guidance and guardrails, and then it's up to other people to make it their own. So that's where maybe where you're saying that this is kind of like the gives the most context and overview. You might add a folder for ICP. You might add a folder for brand voice or best examples, or and even get more specific for like LinkedIn voice, X voice, YouTube scripts, right? You'd add that into
Sure.
this
Yeah.
product marketing, or is there maybe there's another voice and copy editing?
Yeah, there's a voice one, a voice section. So you can always augment that. The cool thing about skills as well, the way that they've architected them, is that there's one main skill.md file, and then there's reference folders, and then there's I think another folder, but then you can also make other subfolders and tell the main skill MD file to reference those other folders for more specific prescriptive advice or instructions that you want it to follow. So you can have like a voice section and then tell it, determine or ask the user which voice it wants to use. And then based on what it says, reference these other voices in this other voices subfolder.
Yeah. And then like I know what Boris Cherny, the creator of Claude Code, says is he always has kind of like a self-referencing loop or improvement to update his Claude.md file. And I'm sure you could do that with a voice, right? It's like you're always improving the voice, or you get an output from AI, you make your edits, then give it back in, say, identify what these changes are, and then it will improve in a recursive loop.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. That's definitely a really big pro tip.
Yeah. Okay, so now it has done the research. I have, it knows what the product is, the audience differentiators goal, and that is in the product marketing context folder. Product, where would it be? I don't see.
It would probably be in the actual skill MD.
Oh, God. Okay. In the skill MD folder.
But regardless,
Oh, I
we don't
guess.
have to look at it necessarily, because now we can tell it use the AI SEO skill. It'll go and reference the product marketing context skill, and we should see that it will not have to ask us as many questions in order to do what it wants to.
Oh, nice. Okay. So I think this like captures the whole process of the installation, providing the context, identifying what skill you'd want to use, and then I mean, it's just like this is all you need in order to be,
Yeah.
like a complete marketer. That's incredible. So now it is going through referencing the markdown file, the prompts, all the context, and then I'll get an output of like changes, improvements to make.
Yeah. You can see
Now,
that it read the product marketing context and then it says, good, I have full context. Now let me check the site and look for AI visibility.
for using any additional tools, like say, for example, if I use Ahrefs, I don't do that with the skills. That's just like I add those into your environment folder or API keys. All the stuff that you'd use is outside of these skills, but you can just reference it in the skill MD file and say like pull Ahrefs data for this or something.
Correct. Yeah, the skills will be the top level instructions for what to do and how to do it. It's sort of guiding the AI. So there are quite a few that reference tools like Ahrefs, for example. But then, yeah, you have to go and grab your own API key and then choose how you're going to store it. But then how does marketing skills interact with the tool can also be defined by the marketing skills. So there's another folder called tools and integrations. Each of those have scripts for interacting with the different APIs of a lot of the popular marketing tools. And that gives you like these shortcuts for helping the AI to understand, okay, this is the structure of the Ahrefs API. Don't call it this way, call it that way. There's even a lot of CLIs. There's a bunch of tools that give you guidance around which ones have MCPs, which ones don't have an API, it might require an MCP instead. And so it helps the AI shortcut to understanding how to work with that tool.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, so this is what you're referring to?
Correct. Hmm.
Got it. Now, did I might not have downloaded this because I only downloaded the skills folder, right?
Yeah, correct. So that's where, again, the installation and why this goes so far beyond just what Claude and Claude Code can do. Because when you tell Claude Code, hey, download the marketing skills repo, it's going to grab everything from the repo, not just the skills.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I see that. So you get the tools and all this. Amazing. Corey, I'd love to touch on Magister because it seems like, from what I understand, Magister is like the AI CMO. I think like this notion of an AI CMO went viral a few weeks ago on X, and whether it worked or not, maybe right there are maybe some challenges.
I just
Yeah,
restarted.
yeah, restart. Okay. The Magister. So can you explain like what Magister is and how you're using AI to do this with agents?
Yeah. So when I launched the marketing skills repo, I really had no expectations and I was kind of just doing it for myself. And selfishly, I wanted a way to help to kind of capture what other people were doing with Claude Code for marketing so that I could also get that info and copy their same workflows. And then it kind of blew up, and then all these people who were asking me, this is great. How do I really use this? And do I really have to use the terminal? And also, what if I want my team to use this too, but they're not really technical or they don't all have Claude Max subscriptions? And so I thought, well, maybe there's an opportunity to SaaSify this so that we basically have a open claw hosted in the browser, powered by the marketing skills to power all the things that you would do day to day. I think that the AI CMO thing is, I'm really annoyed actually because I knew this was going to happen, that there's going to be a lot of companies making this claim. Oh, we made the first AI CMO. And then all it does is like scan Reddit for opportunities to comment in a thread. And like, that's not what an AI CMO is. Like a real AI CMO has the total breadth and depth of all the things you can do in marketing day to day, and that it can do them autonomously. And none of those things are autonomous. So I'm not going to name names, but it is quite annoying. We're taking our time building Magister because we actually do want to fulfill on the promise of it being your AI CMO, where it will literally lead you and guide you through building a strategy, executing on that strategy, and doing it no matter what the tactic or channel or tool is. And they can do it all in the browser, not in your terminal. So again, skills are these executable SOPs. So if we can bring those skills into a browser-based experience that connects to all the tools that you already use, then you're no longer the bottleneck. Most people are used to working with AI of like, okay, I have ChatGPT and then me and then my tool, and I am the go-between. I am the middleman between that process. When you're using something like Claude Code with the marketing skills or Magister, now you are no longer in the middle of that. Now AI is. So AI is asking you what it needs in order to work with your tools and execute on the strategies that you want to. But yeah, at a very fundamental level, our goal is for Magister to be able to do all the things that you would do day to day as a marketer, and or to help to assist you to do it much, much faster. There's always, always, always going to be a human in the loop component. And I am not a fan of producing a bunch of AI slop and then being like, cool, I made 100,000 posts that will never rank for anything. Like, what is the point of that? We're actually after strategies that work and that help people, move the needle on their business goals.
Yeah, I mean, taking a look at what you've done, because I thought I had an idea of the skills, but like the depth that what you built in marketing skills, the way that you've thought about this from the perspective of a marketer and builder, it seems like you have so much covered, and I know that you are working on more skills and building the skills. So I can certainly see how that's going. Would it at all, is Magister at all tied to Anthropic or Claude, or it's standalone, or is it like running an LLM in the background?
Yeah, it's totally standalone. Basically, the way so it's combining a couple of different aspects. For one, we're using OpenClaw as our main harness for an AI agent. What OpenClaw does is it uses OpenClaw is kind of a derivative of this other project called Pi, which is derivative of the Claude Code SDK. And the Claude Code SDK essentially allows you to do all the things we were just doing in VS Code, but within your own app. So it's sort of like this drop-in agentic AI chat interface that has the autonomous power to change files, make web searches, install files, remove files, so on and so forth. So we have OpenClaw, and then we have a hosted experience because OpenClaw is open source, and so you still have to connect it to some sort of server, right? And so we have a secure, scalable server experience where everything is isolated per user. So there's no shared servers between users, and that's really important for things like saving and storing environment variables, API keys, just that there's no data crossover between the users. And then we're layering on the marketing skills, a bunch of other OpenClaw and other Claude Code based skills as well. And then we're packaging all that up into a browser-based experience where there's a chat and there's a nice interface and one-click integrations and connections to be able to allow access to all the tools that you use every day.
Yeah. Corey, you are on the forefront of marketers of AI, and you're so generous with sharing your expertise and insights. I really appreciate you taking the time to come here and share it. The best place to find you or connect with you online?
Yeah, probably Twitter. I'm chronically online, as I think a lot of us are. So at Corey Haines Co. I also have my personal site, corey.co, with links to everything that I do, all my projects, other social media sites. Feel free to DM me or email me anytime. But yeah, corey.co for my site and at Corey Haines Co on Twitter.
Amazing. Corey, thank you so much.
All right, thanks so much.
Thank you.